What's up, everybody? I wanted to talk a little bit about Kobe and his legacy and how he affected my life and the lives of people around me. And you know, for those of you who don't know, if you're coming here, maybe from the sports world, I primarily cover politics, but today it didn't really feel right trying to pretend uh, like yesterday didn't happen. It's 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 kind of unbelievable. It still really hasn't set in. It's still it still has not really hit me, and I feel like the only time that it feels real is when you see the people that were close to him, um, when they start describing moments with him, and then they break down. They break down because they break down just because it's they real when they're realizing it's real at the same time that they're talking about it, because I think for a lot of people it's just very, very difficult, and it hasn't set in. Now, I feel like it's important first to help people understand why a basketball player why a basketball player could would be so important. Why would anybody care? 'Cause I've seen that a lot. Um, not a whole bunch, but this is just a general concept that's discussed, right? Why do we elevate athletes as much as we do? And I feel like most of the political or philosophically woke world, because it is dominated by, if I'm being quite frank, white privileged people, they can't eloquently explain to you or articulate why people like Kobe Bryant are elevated to the level that they are. For the Rob Gronkowskis of the world and the Tom Brady of the world, it's a little bit different, right? For Lionel Messi's, that's it's a different reason. It's for what they bring to the table. Um, you don't aspire to be Tom Brady, right? You're just happy that Tom Brady is who he is. But when we're talking about basketball or even football to a large degree, for young black men growing up in the 90s, to help people who are primarily invested in politics understand the systemic oppression that we dealt with. I'm 31 years old. Um, you ever heard the phrase hoop or go to jail? That's not hoop, rap, or go to jail. That's not y'all think that's hyperbole. A lot of people think that's hyperbole. They don't understand that Allen Iverson, also from Philadelphia, like Kobe, or excuse me, he's from the DMV, but played in Philadelphia. But Allen Iverson was literally told, you're going to go play in college or you're going to go to jail. Because unfortunately, the greatest gifts AI had it led him to doing stupid stuff outside of basketball or being one of the best basketball players ever, because he was a product of his environment. Growing up in the 90s, people think that every Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, that generation was different. That wasn't our generation. That wasn't. Magic was a very well spoken, he wasn't privileged, like super privileged, but he wasn't. But he went to college. He was a very good student and very intelligent. Larry Bird, a lot of those, Isaiah Thomas. I mean, whenever they transitioned into commentary and business, it was very clear that they had always had that talent and the ability that they were going to be successful no matter what. But what people don't understand about basketball, for my generation, the generation that screams out Kobe, before everything, right? Before you take a shot in the trash can, before you take a shot in the basket. Well, I used to scream Kobe when I played soccer, when I shoot it from half field. Like that was it. It was we were all products of our environment in one form or another. And if your environment was fortunate enough, if you were fortunate enough to have a basketball goal in your neighborhood, and it's usually like one or two per neighborhood that everybody plays at, then you had hope that you could get out of your situation. Because you can put me in a shitty school, you can put all the drugs and drug dealers around me, you can take away every opportunity, but if I can dribble this basketball and I can put it in that net, then there's always a chance that I'm going to be able to make it out of this neighborhood. I'm going to be able to make it out of the situation, and my family's going to be able to make it out of the situation. And so for people who saw Kobe in my generation, it was a whole different world, because not only for the first time, like we got our Michael Jordan and we got it like immediately. Like this generation has LeBron, and LeBron's great in his own right, but it's different. LeBron was he was just a freak in every sense of the word. Kobe was, yeah, he was tall, but like it wasn't, people hit growth spurts all the time in college. Kobe was different because Kobe got drafted at 17 years old. So now we're like, what? You mean I can literally, if I work hard in high school, if I, do whatever I can actually get drafted and be out of high school? Obviously, like, what are the odds of that, right? I mean, actually, they weren't. If you went to the right high school, it wasn't as low as you think. But so now people are going to school. If you don't keep your grades up, you can't play. Well, all of a sudden, basketball players are doing well at school. Athletes in general start doing well in school because, wow, I can be Kobe, I can be Kevin Garnett, I can be one of these players getting drafted straight out of high school. Basketball represented opportunity in the age of the 1994 crime bill, where literally our options were play basketball, join the military to go fight in illegal wars, or go to jail, because the opportunity just wasn't there for black men. So that's to help people get an understanding about why, like, somebody like Kobe can have such an impact as an athlete, why he's elevated. Like I said, Tom Brady is not the same. Rob Gronkowski, you like those guys and you appreciate their greatness, but you don't grow up saying, I want to be Rob Gronkowski. You wanted to be like Kobe Bryant in every way you could. When, for my generation, you wanted to be, and you thought you could be. You don't think you can be Tom Brady. You feel like that's just not realistic. The supermodel. Why? Like, don't get me wrong. I have a lot of respect for Tom Brady, by the way, but it's just not the same. And I'm explaining why. Kobe specifically had a very unique impact, not only on a generation, but me. And the story I'm about to tell you, my brother doesn't even know this. But growing up, for the most part, I grew up without a father, and because he left when I was like 6-7 years old. But my father was a die-hard Lakers fan because he's from California. I hated the Lakers because of it. And I think at the time I didn't know why, but I had like an irrational disdain for the Lakers, and I didn't even have a favorite basketball team. So like, it didn't originate out of nowhere. I had no idea what the players' names were. I didn't know who Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was, clearly. I didn't know any of the players on the Lakers. I just knew I hated the Lakers. It was probably, looking back, it was because of how much my dad loved them, and that's what I automatically associate them with. Now, the ironic twist is my brother despised my father, barely knew him, but despised him, but my brother loved the Lakers. I know. Which is, ironically enough, probably for the exact same reason, because my father liked them, and deep down, you just trying to, when you're that young, because he's a year and a half younger than me, he was trying to hold on to something from my dad, because he didn't have the relationship that we had. So growing up, I was never really a competitor. I didn't have a competitive gene. I was really good at things like all throughout elementary school and in middle school. I was really good at basketball, but I wasn't a competitor. Um, I just wanted to be friends with everybody. I was super nice. Like I could have taken the last shot when I was in like little league and playing at the YMCA, but I just want my friend to take the last shot. He looks like he would enjoy it so much more. That's just who I was. But the thing is, I was really close to my little brother, and it's a weird dynamic when you're only a year and a half older than your little brother, because you might as well be twins. But I'm older still, and the one thing that I wanted, because that's who I spent the most time with. My brother's my best friend, and the one thing I wanted more than anything in the world, and it probably has to do because my dad wasn't there. My mom worked all the time. I just wanted the respect of my little brother, and I wanted for him to look up to me. And yeah, if I'm 6 years older, that might look a little bit different than 1.5 years older. But 1.5 years older, basically I gotta beat my brother into the dirt with everything we do. And once again, like I said earlier in the video, one Don Ladot, that must be my cousin. Hey, if that's Brandon or Sean, which I'm assuming is my cousin Brandon, he is not exaggerating. They used to have to drag me outside to play. Drag me. That's not it. I wanted to play video games. I did not like competing, whether it was football, basketball, and I was good at both. Just did not like competing. But I really wanted the respect of my little brother. And this is around the time internet like became a thing, and I was the nerd in school, so I was the one always on the computer. Whenever my mom and my brother went to bed, I was always up late, and I knew that my brother's favorite player was Kobe Bryant. I hated Kobe, but like I said, probably for the same reason I hated the Lakers. But my brother respected Kobe to the point where he used to have a Kobe Bryant fro. Oh, it's Chad. What's up, Chad? Oh, Chad knows too. Yeah, Chad. That's my childhood friend in the comment section, in the live chat, people. But Chad was there. Yeah, he was there for basically all this, so he can tell you. But this is the internet age, and I used to, when dial-up, net zero, when everybody was asleep, I used to like watch Kobe Bryant interviews. I used to read his interviews, like look up the little 30-second, I guess now they would be called GIFs, but back then all you could load was a 30-second clip without wanting to go insane. And like the only thing that we really had at our disposal at that time was basketball. That's all the kids in my neighborhood cared about. This is like the early 2000s and the 90s, late 90s, and that's really like literally all you cared about. You wanted to either be 50 Cent or you wanted to be Kobe Bryant. And so I like started like, man, you know what? I'm gonna be the best at this shit. At the time, if things would have worked out differently, I probably could have been in the NBA. I adopted what has now become known as the Mamba mentality. When I was young, for a plethora of reasons, I wanted everybody's approval, right? I wanted everybody to like me, but I didn't want that. You get what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want it, but that's how I was when I was young, for various reasons. But I didn't want that anymore. I wanted to be like Kobe. I wanted to take 24 shots, miss 14 of them, and take 20 more without giving a fuck about what anybody had to say about it. So that's the mentality I started to adopt. I would study Kobe's moves, go outside for literally 4, 5, 6 hours. Get up at 7 in the morning, go out, play 4, 5, 6 hours, practice. Then we would go play and walk around the neighborhoods and play other people. And I was an asshole. Once again, Chad can vouch for this. I mean, I got in fights because like people would get mad because I'm talking shit. My nickname was the All Star, and because we busting ass, and I wanted to be the best, not just in my neighborhood, but I wanted to be respected as that. Played great offense, played hard ass defense, and that was a mentality that I gained from and this is a little bit we had to study from Kobe Bryant, because once again, dial-up internet. Uh, but I knew that's what I wanted to be like, and that wasn't like, it was learned. It was learned, and what I learned later about Kobe, it made so much sense after I became an adult and started reading more about his life and we got more access. But I took that mentality. Like a lot of people see me now, they just see like a finished product. I'm 31 years old. Like, I have my own show now. I'm great at what I do now. But that mentality started because I used to study Kobe because I wanted to impress my brother. And I wanted my brother to respect me. And I wanted my brother to be great. And I knew that me worrying about what everybody else thought, I couldn't help my brother be great. And then when I started dominating my brother, his competitive edge kicked in hard. And all he wanted to do was be great. And whatever reason, when you're not good at basketball, you just, hey, go down low. And my brother, he took that shit real serious. He was like 5'6", and posting up people 6 foot and just destroying them to the point where people just wouldn't let us be on the same team anymore. But that mentality I then took into every other aspect of my life. Every other. And anybody who knows me now, they were like, bro, now you've always been insanely competitive. You've always just, no, that's not true. Like my friend in the group chat, Chad, said, they had to drag me outside. I hated playing. At first, I used to hate playing Madden because like I just didn't like competing. I'm like, oh, this is too much. They had to teach me actually how to play football. Basically, I learned through playing Madden, and then after playing Madden and NFL 2K, for those of you who remember that, like I got really like, man, I think I'd be a good wide receiver. So I'll go outside and we would play football. My brother would be cornerback. Chad was actually my quarterback, and I was insanely competitive as a wide receiver. I was insanely competitive as a basketball player. I became insanely competitive as a soccer player. Like, and so then it started evolving into my academics. Like, as this mentality I started adopting, like I go into high school, I wanted to have the best grades. Then I joined debate, and I wanted to be. There was no other reason for me to join debate. I didn't give a shit about politics. Didn't care about policies. Didn't care about any of that stuff. Did not even really, like personality wise, I did not mesh with debaters, as you can probably imagine. But I knew I wanted to be the best at it. And just like with basketball, just like with soccer, just like with football, I became obsessed and was reading. And I would be up all night reading different articles. I got a crash course, not only in politics, but in rhetoric in like a year. Which if anybody has ever been in debate, they would all tell you they kind of come from parents with professional backgrounds, great schools. They were always in the AG classes and things like that. I was held back in the 7th grade. My teachers constantly ridiculed me. I was called stupid. I was called dumb. All kinds of stuff. People used to insult my intelligence all the time. I remember one time I got straight F's on my report card in middle school. I had to throw it out the window because I was too ashamed to show my mom. So when I go into debate, I could barely understand what they were saying. But I knew I wanted to be the best at it. And that's Mamba mentality. I obsessed. And eventually became, one of the best debaters and most well-known debaters on the East Coast. Go on to college to become one of the best debaters in the country. And the things would have been different. Who knows? Probably would have been a world class debater if I would have stayed in. But it was time to move on, but that mentality in debate became that mentality in politics. That mentality in politics became that mentality in the media, what I do now. And I just carried it with me. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't understand why. I mean, yeah, it's Mamba mentality. Like, well, why is that important? Well, why it's important is because of what I learned after. Obviously, I think that everybody, if you actually watch Kobe throughout his entire career, that man was not right in the head. He wasn't right. He was just that. He was the one, once again 6 for 24 in the champ, like in one of the champ. One, I can't remember what game it was. I think it was the last game of a finals. I wish I could remember who they were playing. I want to say it was in the conference finals against the Utah Jazz. And he just kept shooting. That man was not right. Remember the joke with PlayStation? They was like, the new 2K came out with that new Kobe controller, and it was just a square. It was just a shoot button. But if you actually study Kobe, you would realize why he thought I could just take every shot. Because he originally, like everybody in the 90s growing up, he made his game like Michael Jordan's. But then he was like, I gotta be a better post player, because what if I get stuck in this situation? So he would pull somebody, Bill Russell, other Kareem, even other great post players, and he would just absorb them like a sponge. Right? And people always see Kobe as this cocky guy who thinks he knows everything, and that's actually not true. Y'all just see a finished product. But then you see, like, as the game evolved, right? Michael Jordan was never really that good at shooting 3-point shots, but Kobe was great at it, and he was great at hitting the hardest ones, while being triple covered. He was like, I gotta be a great 3-point shooter too. I gotta get better at my fadeaway. So he grabbed Dirk Nowitzki and learned how to do the 1-foot fadeaway. That's Dirk's move. He got a lot of his post game from Bill Russell, and there's one more. I wish I could remember right now. Michael Jordan a little bit, but he was talking about extensively how Bill Russell helped him with his post game. Then he wanted to be better on defense, so he went to Gary Payton during the All-Star game. But that was before Gary Payton joined the Lakers, and he had him out in the middle of the floor like, yo, I want to learn how to defend better. If y'all know Kobe, 11-time all-defensive team. But if you understand who Kobe is, you would know that Kobe is a culmination of everything great from the greatest players in the NBA, because he opened up his heart to that. And he was a sponge. But the thing that people take for granted is why he was a sponge. You would have thought that Kobe learned everything he learned from his father, who was a former NBA player who ended up playing overseas. But his father actually basically abandoned him once he got to the league. His father and mother cut him off. I know a lot of y'all see that picture where he's like holding a trophy and he's crying in the shower, and everybody thinks he's crying because he just won his first championship. That actually was not why he was crying. He was crying because the finals was in Philadelphia, where he's from. They were playing the 76ers against Allen Iverson. He got, obviously, courtside seats for his parents, and his parents never showed up to one single game. Not a single game. So Kobe came into the league as a child, 17 years old. I know some of y'all 28 years old, still children. 3 years later, 4 years later, they won that championship. So he's still a kid, 21, maybe 22 years old. And all you ever want, really, is for your parents to be proud of you. Parents didn't even show up. And at that point, which is a point a lot of black men face whenever whenever you kind of realize your mom or your dad isn't there for various reasons. Once again, if you grew up in the 90s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You got one of two choices. You got two paths. I'm going to take this, use it as motivation, and make sure that I'm different. Or you got the other side, which is, you know what, fuck this, fuck everything, and you lash out. Kobe he took the right path. He did it better than just about anybody else could. He had a beautiful family. He was everybody knew Kobe as this competitor, and as an asshole. People don't know, he mentored so many people, not only after, but while he was playing. And then, of course, after he was playing, he could have taken an executive position with the Lakers. That was the first thing that was offered to him. He was like, nah, I'm going to go coach my daughter's travel team. And he had just said a couple of days earlier that he knows his daughter could be one of the first women in the NBA. He believed it because he didn't believe in limitations. And I believe it too. If you would have saw his daughter play, if you knew who Kobe was, what that mentality has done for other players, like Devin Booker, like Kyrie Irving, it literally transformed Kawhi Leonard. He went from being a role player to a champion that is just a pure killer on the court. If you knew that, then you know that when Kobe said his daughter can be in the NBA, he meant that shit. But that was because of the mentorship of Kobe. We don't get Kawhi Leonard without Kobe. We don't get Devin Booker. We don't get Kyrie Irving. It's crazy to think about how many people he mentored, how many conversations he had that we're now finding out that he was having. I didn't know how hard he was working behind the scenes with the WNBA for them to be paid more fairly, because having daughters obviously transformed him. And when somebody asked him, I bet you wish you had a son, he was like, why? I got a daughter who's going to carry on my legacy and make it bigger than what anybody else could have. And he believed that. Yeah, he was a loner. Yeah, he was socially awkward. And as most people who are kind of outsiders do, I know because I was and am an outsider myself, he just became kind of bigger than everything around him mentally. It was always about the next thing, how to perfect myself, how to be better, because when you're alone like that, all you have is information, and it's very hard for you to be personable, because when you're alone, everybody becomes competition. And when you're in a hyper competitive environment like the NBA, it's multiplied tenfold. But Kobe didn't want to beat you while you were down. Kobe didn't want, he didn't want you after you were hungover from the night before. Nah, Kobe would mentor you to build you up so you can be the best version of yourself, because he ain't want to beat your ass unless you were the best version of yourself that you could possibly be. That's the only way he wanted to win. He wanted it to be, he didn't want to have any excuses. But here's the thing. Once again, he wanted that for everybody. He wanted everybody to have that type of spirit. When people thought of him as a selfish player because of how much he shot, and I'm like, y'all don't even understand. It wasn't selfishness. All he ever knew was everything is on me. I have to do it. If I don't do it, it's not going to get done. When you're left alone like that, it's 19, 20, 21 years old, when you have that type of skill, what do you think is going to happen? But instead of going down the negative route, and I hate, Dennis Rodman's a great man, but Dennis Rodman obviously went down a different route because of his parents and his situation. So it could have. He was talented too. Kobe could have went a different way, but he kept himself clean, became a mentor to the entire league, not only to the NBA but then to the WNBA. When you got a whole generation shaped by that, like one of the once again, it's no disrespect to LeBron, but one of the biggest knocks against LeBron is that he's not a killer like Kobe. And it might not even be fair to him, but that's just how impactful Kobe was. Because in the 90s, it was very much so. Kobe was like the Kobe and AI both, really, I should say that. They were both like this, the culmination of everything the 90s represented, which is it's all on you. Yeah, you don't got your dad. Okay, motherfucker, neither do I. Yeah, you might not have your mom. Okay, neither do I. So, what? That's supposed to mean something? Go get it done. If you want it, you'll do it. Yeah, you might stumble along the way. Nobody's asking you to be perfect, but if you want it, you'll go get it. And there is no excuse for why you can't. Either you're going to use your circumstance as motivation or you're going to use it as an excuse. And Kobe taught an entire generation to use their circumstances as motivation. And a lot of people didn't even know. They didn't even know that Kobe was going through what he was going through with his family. That they were using him. They were using him up and spitting him out, and he would still not say a negative word because he didn't want people to think that he was giving an excuse. Didn't matter. If I don't win, it's because I wasn't the best that day, and I need to be better. It sucks, man. Even literally as he was, like, his last action was driving or flying with his daughter to a travel game, taking her teammates and their families with him as well. Travel team that he coached, rather than being if he was an executive in the NBA making all the money in the world, he would have never been on that plane, or at least not that day. It sucks, man. If he was an executive in the NBA, his daughter would be riding with a family member to that game. And maybe it was just him, and I'm sure Kobe would have, if he could have made it so that it was just him, then he would have made that sacrifice. But instead, he died literally doing what he loved with probably one of the people that he loved the most. So it sucks, man. It sucks seeing a person who shaped your generation whenever, because once again, people really do not understand. If you're a millennial, like an older millennial, then you get it. But there are people who are a lot younger who might not understand. People who are even older, maybe in your mid to late 40s, you might not understand, because y'all see Michael Jordan for like the skill and the greatness of him just as a player, but like at a time where we didn't know where the fuck opportunity was going to come from. We did not know. We just saw everybody around us going to jail. It's like we would grow up with them in elementary school, middle school, they'd be cool, high school, there was some turn, and next thing you know, they were in jail. We didn't know where opportunity was going to come from. And then we saw a 17-year-old kid go to the NBA and dominate. And we're like, that's it. That's what we're going to do. Because I can get a basketball goal. Even if I got to steal a basketball going to basketball, I can get a basketball goal. I might not be able to get into UNC. I was fortunate enough to be able to do that. Or I might not be able to get into Harvard. I might not, have the connections. But I can get a basketball goal. And I can get a basketball. And I can outwork any and everybody. I can definitely do those things. Some people it worked out for, some people it didn't. But that mentality that was adopted, where it's like, don't find excuses, just create your opportunity, that's what shaped the entire generation going forward. And now you actually, if you've noticed, my generation, I haven't been blessed with a child yet, but the people, the friends that I have in my life, man, those are the best fathers that I have ever seen. Best fathers, best husbands. They're all mentors. We mentor each other, mentor each other's kids, soccer coaches, black men. Black men doing what we were statistically told we were not ever going to be able to do. And only two, not funny, but only two of my friends are basketball players, or NBA players, or one was, but even still, I mean, he's a great man too. But it's that opportunity, like that potential for opportunity that was like that Kobe represented. I mean, just think about throwing paper in a basketball can. You literally, I mean, you doing the wildest shit, like doing no looks into a little paper ball into a little can. You felt like if you screen Kobe, as long as I scream Kobe, you can make it. And that's how the entire generation felt. So appreciate you guys. We're gonna get back to our regularly scheduled program today. I was gonna do it yesterday. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. It's hard, man. Just wanna send the most positive energy that I can to his family. It's just heartbreaking knowing that Kobe has a daughter who is literally never going to grow up with her father. Doesn't even know who her father is. She's going to have to figure out everything her father was through television. Man. Appreciate y'all, man.